Hey everyone, welcome back to More English with Dry. Today I'm going to take you on a summary of the character development of Ebenezer Scrooge in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. In the first stave of the novel, some of his key quotes are: he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, he was a clutching, covetous old sinner, he is solitary as an oyster, and when he is spoken to by the charity collectors about the plight of the poor and needy in society, he says if they would rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Now, these quotes are all designed to give us an impact of Scrooge at the start of the novel. They're designed to show us a man who is particularly greedy and selfish, and who will change over the course of the 5 staves. He's immediately characterized as someone who is neither kind nor generous with money. His personality revolves entirely around earning money and hoarding it so that no one may benefit from it but him. The image presents him as someone who holds on to his wealth tightly and does not let go of it for anyone. He's similarly portrayed as an immoral and godless man through the definition of sinner. The fact that he covets or desires other people's possessions presents him as someone who fails to observe Christian teaching. This is confirmed when he describes as a sinner, or someone who breaks divine laws. The simile, solitary as an oyster, shows he prefers to be alone and refuses the company of others. Like an oyster, he has a hard and sharp exterior to stop people trying to get close to him. However, it may also suggest that deep down he is vulnerable and soft and worth a great deal. This comment that he makes at the expense of the poor shows his attitude towards those around him at first as mean and cruel. He seems to think that no one else has any worth and claims not to care if people live or die. By stave 2, we hear about his past, in which he was a solitary child neglected by his friends. We hear that his younger sister, Little Fan, died a woman and had children, who we realise is Fred, his nephew. We hear him talk about his old boss Fezziwig and describes how the happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune. And then we discover that when he is broken up with by his ex-fiancée Belle, there was an eager, greedy, restless motion in his eye. The reader discovers that Scrooge had a difficult childhood in which he was constantly abandoned by his harsh father. He was forced to spend Christmas alone at boarding school rather than celebrate it with his family. We also discover that the only relation who showed him any love was his younger sister Fan, whom Scrooge loved dearly for her kindness and gentle nature. However, it is revealed she died young, leaving him heartbroken. The son she left, Fred, reminds him too much of her, and so he refuses to have any kind of relationship with him at all. Scrooge remembers his first employer, Fezziwig, who made sure that his employees were happy and content at all times. Importantly, Scrooge concedes that the happiness he gave to him was worth more than money. Finally, Scrooge is shown the moment when his fiancée Belle broke off their engagement, telling them that he had become too obsessed with money and business. She claims that he is now more interested in golden idols than her, again portraying him as a sinner. Stave 3 is the Ghost of Christmas Present, in which Scrooge is initially shown the Christmas dinner of the Cratchit family. When he finds out that young Tim Cratchit will die if no one helps him, he begs the spirit, no, say that he will be spared. When the spirit quotes back to him his comment about dying to decrease the surplus population, we hear that he hung his head to hear his own words quoted by the spirit and was overcome with penitence and grief. When he's shown the 2 figures of ignorance and want, he started back appalled. Having them shown to him in this way, he tried to say they were fine children, but the words choked themselves rather than be parties to a lie of such enormous magnitude. The Ghost of Christmas Present shows Scrooge the Christmas dinner of the Cratchit family. Bob, who works for him as his clerk, is paid very poorly, and the family struggle financially as a result. However, they show the most Christmas cheer and enjoyment of anyone in the novel. When Scrooge discovers that Tiny Tim, the sick young son of the family, may die in the future, he begs that he may be saved. Yet, in response, the spirit repeats the comment made in Stave 1 about decreasing the surplus population, to show Scrooge how much to blame he personally is for the deaths of those like Tim. Scrooge, finally confronted with the realities of the needy and poor in society, becomes ashamed by his comments and starts to feel remorse and regret. The spirit shows Scrooge 2 impoverished children, representing ignorance and want, which were Victorian society's 2 biggest problems. Scrooge is horrified to finally be shown exactly how some people are forced to live. He tries to make excuses and deny what he sees, but he can delude himself no longer about the scale of the problem. The final spirit in stave 4 presents Scrooge with a possible future if he does not change his ways. "Spirit," said Scrooge, shuddering from head to foot, I see, the case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Merciful heaven, what is this? Is there any person in this town who feels emotion caused by this man's death?" said Scrooge, quite agonized. "Show me that person, I beseech you, Spirit." "Spirit," he cried, tight clutching at its robe, "hear me, I am not the man I was." Scrooge is appalled by the utter disregard that is shown to the dead man whose fate he's forced to witness. He's physically moved throughout the stave, constantly shaking with fear and anxiety. He recognises that due to his behaviour in life, this is exactly the treatment he could receive in the future if he cannot change his ways and make more people care about him. The description of Scrooge as being agonised shows the pain and neglect shown to him that this is causing him. It is beginning to realise the consequences of being unanimously disliked, particularly when you grow sick and eventually pass away. He understands that people receive the love and affection they show to others. Clearly he is aware that he has not treated anyone with either. The word clutching is used again to describe Scrooge, except whereas before it was designed to show how greedy and stingy he was, now it reflects his desperation. By the end of stave 4, he is literally begging on his knees to be given a second chance at life. He finds the possible future shown to him to be so terrifying, he will do everything within his power to avoid it. Stave 5 is the moment in the present where Scrooge comes to from his night of visitations from the spirits. He says, "First, I am as light as a feather, I am as happy as an angel, I am as merry as a schoolboy, I am as giddy as a drunken man." Then, when he re-sees the charity collectors, he says, "Not a penny less, not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favour?" And then finally to Bob he says, "I'll raise your salary and endeavour to assist your struggling family." Scrooge's change is complete. His transformation is clearly a relief to him as he feels lighter than ever before. He compares himself to an angel as proof of his spiritual change, showing that he has cast away the sinful life he used to lead. He views his second chance as almost like a rebirth, which is why he feels like a schoolboy again. Scrooge demands that the charity collectors accept an enormous contribution that he says is well overdue. The idea that it includes back payments shows his understanding that he owes a debt to society, and he's going to do his best to repay it. Scrooge promises Bob that he will be a far better employer and a far kinder man to him. He takes it as his mission to ensure that the future in which Tim dies does not come to pass. In doing so, he's both embracing the idea of Christian charity, but also family values. I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned for more content. Goodbye.